Hello everyone, my name is Morgan. I'm just going to be doing my first video here on a fun craft that you can do at home with hopefully stuff that I think most people with kids would have just laying around the house. What we're going to be making is our own DIY scratch paper. So I don't know if some of you parents remember this, but it's a black sheet of paper and you can scratch off to show the beautiful colors underneath, and yeah, basically just a fun way to draw and do all sorts of fun things. So what you'll be needing for this is just soap, some black acrylic paint. If you don't have black, you can use a darker color, but black is the best for this. You'll be needing a paintbrush, a little paint palette, or if you don't have one of these, just like a plate or a paper plate or anything that you can just mix some paint on. And of course a piece of paper. So I had this yellow paper. It's not cardstock or anything, it's just regular paper. You can use white paper or any lighter colored paper. And then just to protect my workstation, I had this piece of parchment paper, just so that, because you're going to be covering the picture fully with the acrylic paint and dish soap mixture, just so that you're not getting it all over your table, your kitchen table, or wherever you're working. So, start with, oh, and sorry, crayons. You're also going to need crayons. So to start with, you take your piece of paper. I just made a smaller one just to make the ease of the video shorter. So, and you're going to take your crayons, preferably all lighter colors, but some darker in there is not going to be an issue. So you take your crayons and you just start coloring in random splotches of color all over. And you want to mix the colors up lots, just all over the page. You just want to make sure that none of the actual color is showing through. So say if you're using a white piece of paper, you don't want any white left on your page. Okay? So you're just going to keep coloring and coloring until you've got this all completely covered. And feel free to pause the video to complete this, because when you're using a full sheet of paper, it does take quite a while to get the whole page covered with random colors. So once you're finished coloring all your pieces in with the crayons, you're going to have something that kind of looks like this. Okay, just completely covered, all random, no picture, just abstract color. Okay, so what we do with this, I'm just going to get my protective sheet down. Okay, so you're going to take your paint palette or paper plate or whichever you got here, and you're going to take your black acrylic paint or your dark blue or whichever darker color you're going to use. Black tends to cover the best, so if you're if you're not using black, you might have to do a couple coats over top of your paper. So you want to put a decent amount of paint on your paint palette. Okay, just enough that you think will cover the piece of paper you're working on. And then you're going to take your lovely dish soap and pour some dish soap into your paint. And so you want about equal parts. So the same amount of acrylic paint and about the same amount of dish soap. Okay, and then you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to mix it all together. I don't know if you guys can see this good or not. Okay, you're just going to mix it all together. And your paint will kind of look a little bubbly. That's okay, that's perfect. That means that you've got the right mixture going on. It will bubble up like soap does when you're stirring it around. So once you've got that completed, all mixed up there, you take your colored piece of paper, and sometimes you might have to wipe off some of the crayon marks, some of the crayon extras. Okay, and you're just going to paint all over it. You want to cover everything all the corners, and that's why we have this piece of parchment paper or wax paper down, or placemat, whichever you're using, just so that you're not getting paint all over your kitchen table. Okay, so you just want to get complete coverage on this. And so once you've covered your piece completely, I'm just going to set this aside here. And once it's dry, so it'll take like a half an hour or closer to an hour, just depending on how much paint is on there, you're gonna have something that looks like this. Okay, so this one probably could have used a second coat. You can kind of see some of the colors through there. But once it's dry, then it's just ready to draw with. So you can use a popsicle stick or a toothpick. I had this random plastic thing laying around the house, so that's what I used. And then it's ready to go. So you can pretty much just scratch off whatever you'd like to draw on there. And that's pretty much it. This is also fun to do for making scratch it cards. I'll show you guys that. So say if you wanted to make a little card for somebody, I partially did this one up here, so it just says scratch the hearts. I know it's kind of hard to see. Just with marker, a gold Sharpie, I drew some hearts on there. And you can scratch them off. It's kind of the same idea as the other stuff, but you can scratch off and you can see. I used gold for this one because it doesn't have to cover. You can see your little notes in there. So how you would do that is you just take your piece of paper, you take a marker or pencil or whichever you'd like, and you just write a little note in there. So I just wrote hi in the top one there. And you want to make sure the marker or pen, whatever you're using, is dry. And then you take your white crayon, okay, and you want to fill that completely in, okay, inside the heart or wherever you're wanting to conceal the secret message. Okay, and just make sure it's completely covered. I know it's kind of hard to see with the white crayon where you've gotten, but, and so you'll have something that looks like that. And then you're going to do the same thing. I used a smaller paintbrush for this and some of my gold paint. The gold paint did need a couple coats because it is thinner when it goes on than the black one. So then again, just take your gold paint, put it in your paint palette, mix it up with some dish soap, and then paint it on to wherever your secret message is. And then once it's all dry, it becomes a DIY scratch card. I don't know if you can see that in there. It's hard to see. But yeah, lots of fun activities to do with this. You can make multiples of this paper and then have it lying around for when your kids are bored. And they can just scratch crazy designs or little pictures into the DIY scratch paper. So I'll be posting more videos of at-home crafts. Hopefully the quality of the video and will keep getting better as I keep posting videos. But like my page, and yeah, we'll all get through this quarantine together. Bye.